Beast Games Season 2 on Amazon Prime is exactly what it is designed to be: addicting. If you aren't familiar with it, it's Mr. Beast's competition game show for Prime. Now, this year's season is strong contestants and genius contestants competing for $5 to $10 million. On the outside, it probably doesn't make much sense as a business proposition, but at its core, Beast Games exists because Amazon wants it to exist. It's a driver of all of its other businesses. This was commissioned as a Prime Video original, which means Amazon is footing a substantial part of the bill in exchange for exclusive global streaming rights, and it's like a $100 million show to produce. That is instantly putting Beast Games in the same budget league as prestige dramas like Game of Thrones and blockbuster franchises like Spider-Man. So why do this? Streamers are locked in an attention war, and big reality competition shows that feel like events are still moneymakers. That's why reality TV persists to this day. Beast Games drives subscriptions, it creates social media buzz, and it triggers mass binge watching with people like me. The question is it any good? Well, that depends on your taste. It is a shamelessly cheesy game show with overhyped and contrived drama. And the thing about Beast Games is that it's drenched in prize money and giveaways as big as $1.8 million islands. There is nothing like it, and I gotta say, I find it hard to look away from. Mr. Beast has openly said that Beast Games has cost more than $100 million overall, and that he personally lost tens of millions of dollars making it, even with Amazon involved. That sounds wild until you remember how he operates. Mr. Beast's entire career has been built on reinvestment. On YouTube, he famously plows profits straight back into bigger sets, higher stakes, and more outrageous concepts to drive more revenue. And so, zooming out from all that, what does Beast Games Season 2 tell us about Amazon's business model? It tells us that Amazon is not buying shows the way that old studios used to, hoping that a single title turns a clean profit based on money to produce it. Amazon is buying attention. It's buying cultural presence. It wants a reason for people to subscribe to Prime and stay subscribed. Now, for reference, on ratings, Fallout on Amazon beat Beast Games on ratings handily. It drove way more views and in a shorter period of time. But Beast Games is integrated into other parts of Amazon's business. Viewership is only one metric you count in the streaming era. Beast Games is more like a high-budget customer acquisition tool, and it converts viewers into Prime members. And once you're in Prime, you're not just a video customer. You're in Amazon's ecosystem where there's compounding value for every person on their rolls. And that is your streaming review.
This week, we're going to talk about The Mouse House. Disney just dropped their latest earnings report, and there are a lot of positive signs to glean from it. Some high-level takeaways: revenue is up 5% to nearly $26 billion. And their streaming business? It's finally in the green, making the company money. The operating income for Disney Plus and Hulu has soared, up 72%. But as always with Disney, the devil is in the details. Looking at the earnings report, Disney has decided to shift towards mirroring Netflix in its reporting style, opting out of sharing subscriber numbers for Disney Plus and Hulu. It's a signal to investors that they are no longer viewing growth as a problem, but are focusing on expanding margins. There are some red flags from their traditional media portfolio. Linear TV revenue continues to decline as consumers are opting to cut the cord, unsurprisingly. Remember when Disney got into that fight with YouTube TV, resulting in a blackout that lasted for 2 weeks? Not only were consumers annoyed with the whole blackout experience, but ESPN's bank account was left worse off as a result, with that fight costing the company a whopping $110 million. On the M&A scene, Disney was also able to finalize its merger with Fubo, which came with a $300 million tax charge for good measure. This merger is part of their bigger play to dominate what's being dubbed the quote-unquote skinny bundle market.
All right, and in Washington news, Netflix and Warner Brothers appeared before the Senate Judiciary Committee to defend the case for their merger. Let's roll clip.
Engaged in this very woke programming, overwhelmingly. You do have some other options, but overwhelmingly. So the question before this committee, and you come before Congress, why in the world would we give a seal of approval or a thumbs up to make you the largest behemoth on the planet related to content? It seems as though you have engaged in creating not only a monopoly of content potentially, but the wokest content in the history of the world.
So respectfully, If you ask a Netflix member today.
All right. Wokest content in the world.
It is the wokest content in the world, in the history of the world. You'll never see anything quite like it, I guess. Look, it's not surprising that Senator Schmidt is putting some scrutiny on Netflix's acquisition of Time Warner Discovery assets. Because again, it does represent its own separate challenges. And I know that I've talked about this on Schwab Network before. It's between them and Paramount Plus. And make no mistake, I think that if it was in reverse and it was Paramount that ultimately won out here, we'd be having the same questions, but talking about all the wokeness that happens at Paramount instead, right? So I think that when it's all said and done, is Netflix a monopoly if they go and they acquire these assets? Absolutely not. There's nothing to go and suggest otherwise. And I think that the other component that we have to think about too is that there's a different kind of consumption for consumers as to the kind of content they even like to begin with. You've got people that like to go and watch TV shows like Yellowstone and Landman and a whole bunch of other things. But on the flip side too, you also have a lot of people who enjoy creator oriented content too that exists in the ecosystem on YouTube and elsewhere. So while I understand some of the scrutiny that's coming Netflix's way, I do think that it is a little overblown.
Yeah, the whole element here of consumer choice being restricted by a merger or acquisition between two big shops, it's as if they're talking about then content is being taken away. It's simply just being moved to a single location. There is so much non-woke content for consumers to choose from between the properties of Warner Brothers and HBO and Netflix, and it says nothing about other fully functional shops such as Paramount, such as now like the Daily Wire Plus. You've got Angel Studios Entertainment and their own apps. You have Amazon Prime and all sorts of different outlets for consumers to choose from. The curse of bigness has nothing to do with the content and streaming space. If anything, it just means lower prices. So,
but the wokest content in the history of the world.
In the history of the world.